Bluegrass band from the mountains of Kalamazoo. Known around Kalamazoo as the best darn bluegrass band in our price range. That's probably why we're here. We started playing together 12 years ago out in Cooper, Michigan, and look how far we've come. About 7 miles down the road. And we're very happy to be here tonight. We're going to put on a show featuring what we call bluegrass music. Talk a little about the history of bluegrass music and some of the instruments that we use to play this form of music. Back in 1945, a guy named Bill Monroe, anyone heard of Bill Monroe? A few people. Bill Monroe walked up on the stage of the Grand Ole Opry with his band, which he called the Bluegrass Boys. That day and that evening was the beginning of what we now know as bluegrass music. It really took the audience by surprise because they never really heard anything quite like it. It wasn't really country music, it wasn't old folk music, it was something entirely different. And it featured a couple of unique things. First of all, the assortment of instruments they used. This is a mandolin, by the way, a bass fiddle, what he's trying to play. Look at the back. He picks it. The 5-string banjo, which we'll get to later, and of course guitar. Sometimes bluegrass bands feature a fiddle, frequently they have a fiddle, or a resonator guitar or slide guitar. But most of all, this is the standard configuration for a bluegrass band. You'll notice we are not plugged in. There are no plugs or wires. Outside this basement, which we have no wires, and when we play out in festivals, we have an acoustic mic, one mic that we get around, and that's it. We don't plug our instruments in. So we can set up anywhere in the basement of a library, underneath a tree, or anywhere. So anyway, what Bill Monroe came up with is an assortment of guys that had some different talents. One of the guys, name was Earl Scruggs. Earl had done out the deep end playing the banjo. Like this guy. He's on that. And he developed what's called the 3-finger style picking, called the Scruggs style picking. We're going to have Mr. Beaton back here demonstrate the Earl Scruggs style picking, which kind of defines bluegrass. And I would like to do some breakdown. Sure. That's all about. This is a standard Scruggs finger style picking that makes bluegrass what it is. lottery back in 1945, the audience was sitting in stunned silence. They never heard a banjo played like that, and never heard this assortment of instruments. The next thing that makes bluegrass so interesting is the types of harmony used. Typically it's 3-part harmony. So we're going to do a song now. It features what's called a high lonesome sound. There's a lead part in it, then there's one guy, in this case it will be me singing a high tenor part over that, and a baritone. So we'll put the banjo and the instruments all together and give you the full bluegrass sound on a song made famous by our friends, the Dillards. Now the Dillards were a very popular band back in the 60s and 70s. They were the darlings on the old Andy Griffith Show. Anybody remember the Andy Griffith Show? A group of guys that came in off the mountains and with their banjos and their mandolins and had this weird look at them. They were actually the Dillards. We'll play Old Man in the Mill, featuring the 3-part harmony sound of bluegrass and the Dillards. Kalamazoo, and that was one of the high points of our career, or maybe their career, I don't know. Probably our career. I have a chance to play with those guys that kind of were legends in bluegrass. Then we started out about 12 years ago playing in a barn up in Cooper, and most people thought that's where we belonged, but a few people thought we should form a band. So we thought, well, let's do that. We happened to be drinking Schlitz that night, so we got our name. So the first actual jobs that we got were in bars. That was the only place that had us. We discovered that playing bluegrass songs and the Dillards were not really what they were into. So we started playing a game called What If? What if Elton John was trapped in a room with no piano and just bluegrass instruments? And he had to write the song Honky Cat. What would it sound like then? We came up with this version of Honky Cat by Elton John, our favorite bluegrass singer. song you can come up with using this arrangement of instruments sounds pretty much like bluegrass. So call it bluegrass, or
Bluegrass is a Japanese word.
Do you need a timeout? Sometimes I have to give the whole band a timeout. It's really embarrassing. Set them all down. Anyway, I will say about bluegrass. We started adapting a lot of different songs to this sort of arranged instruments, and we play a lot of bluegrass festivals, and they like us, but you know, sometimes a lot of the crowd that are purists, bluegrass purists, look at us like, what are you doing? Like, what are you singing? You think we ought to try our arrangement of Beatles and Rolling Stones? That's what really leads a lot of people to dust that like bluegrass. But this is our arrangement. See, the Beatles and the Rolling Stones hated each other. So we thought, what if they both got in a room, took all their instruments away, and gave them bluegrass instruments? We'll do our version of Beatles and Rolling Stones medley. We'll see if you can. changed a little bit, which kind of makes us unique in the bluegrass world, because a lot of the bluegrass bands around do not play the old popular tunes that kind of stick with the standard bluegrass. But you seem to enjoy it. Like that still sounds like bluegrass. Let me introduce the guy that's been doing most of the singing back here. He's a gentleman that actually has a photographic memory. He's kind of incredible. but he ran out of film 3 years ago. And since then, a graduate of Michigan State University with a PhD. And for over here, we found out later, his name is Nicholas J. Griffith. That's good. And playing the banjo, we think he's the best banjo player in this band. We called him a couple of weeks ago that we thought that he was really one of the best banjo players on the entire planet. Not this planet, but some planet. His name is Nicholas J. Deaton from Cooper, Michigan. And our recovering redneck over here. By the way, special day for him. 8 weeks, no jail time. Give him a hand. We played this next song in a wedding, and the bride liked it so much that she got up and sang it with us. After she's had several glasses of wine. Anyway, if you'd like to sing along to the chorus, you're welcome to do that. It's a song called Wagon Wheel. It was sung by a group called the Old Crow Medicine Show about 5 years ago. Caught on across the country and unbelievable. Wherever we go, people can sing along with this and they enjoy it. So cheaper getting them free.
But I'm
Nicholas J. Griffin.
Get up here. Well, before we go any further, let's hear it for the old timer that sang that last song. His name's John Speeder. We've been with this group since the beginning, and there is a rule once you form a bluegrass band. The oldest member of the group has to be your mandolin player. The other rule is if you have an obese band member, he has to play banjo. Of course, the guitar player is the guy with the smallest feet. That's the rules about playing bluegrass music. This is all the bass. Not much to it. It's 4 strings. If you play a guitar, it's the same 4 strings as on your guitar. Just like these ones. Oh. And other than that, I mean, it's easy. Anybody can play. Would anyone like to learn?
We're all looking for a new
If there's anything you'd like to hear tonight, just yell it out and we'll play. We know just about every song ever written.
We have to run and do it again. Let's do some Fox on the Run.
Oh, we'll do that one. Right now. Are you tuned up? Are you
ready for it?
We'll do Fox on the Run. Thanks for asking that. She walks through corn leading down to her hair shone like gold in the morning sun. She took all the love and the Lord was here, and let me die like on the run. Like a fox on the
We'll do another song now that we stole most of it. We're unashamed of that. But this next song is a song that was made popular by Kenny Rogers called Ruby. Here we go.
You paint up your lips and roll and
Which he did, he did. He went out 5 o'clock in the morning, and for the first 4 holes, he was 2 under par, believe it or not. Then he came to this hole where the windmill thing goes wrong. Anyway, we have a request. We've only had 1 request, 2 requests, right? Replace one. What? That? 3 requests? One at a time.
My dock is upside down.
Hey, how do you know about that?
Who doesn't?
How many people have power in their
My
house?
stats upside down.
How many people are without power? Anyway, I'm not sure who requested this song, but it's a song by one of our favorite bluegrass groups called the Monkees. It's known as The Last Train to Clarksville. Who is it that wanted it? Monkees fan. Great. Get up here. Yeah.
Take the last train to Clarksville, and I'll meet you at the station. Cause I'm leaving in the morning, and I'll see you again.
mandolin. For those of you that have been around Kalamazoo for a while, you'll know that there used to be a Gibson music company located just north of here, which was the premier manufacturer of mandolins in the world. I mean, there's nobody that made mandolins any better than them. Through the early 1900s and into the late 1930s, they made the best mandolins anywhere. I'm lucky to have one of the models here. It was not made in Kalamazoo, but it's still pretty good name, pretty good quality. But people would come from all over the world to buy mandolins at Gibson, and the ones that people have in their attics, you may not know it. If you have an old Gibson mandolin in your attic, it could be worth $15,000, $20,000.
Or 100, or 200.
Or it could be $50. Take it off and look at it. Those are really very valuable antiques. So anyway, this mandolin has 8 strings. It's the hardest musical instrument to play, certainly.
It's also known as the wimpy guitar.
Count the strings. 8, 4.
It looks really complicated.
Detune like.
I did not.
Sometimes he does that and he doesn't really do it.
Yes. How can you tell? It ain't strings, it only plays 4.
It was lives out in the country in a small town called Gosford. He was pulled over a couple weeks ago by the sheriff's department again. His Dodge Dart. Officer knocked on the window. Excuse me, sir, you got any ID? He says, about what? He said, look, I've been following you for 2 miles. You've been weaving all over this road. What's the problem? He said, well, I hate driving down this road because everywhere I go there's a tree right in my line of vision. The officer looked inside the car and said, sir, that's your air freshener. And he was very suspicious. He said, could you step out of the car, please, sir? So he dragged Dave out of the car. He said, I need to ask you a question, sir. Do you have any weapons in your car? Dave moved up a little closer to him and said, what do you need? David didn't think so from Delaware.
Let's go.
All right, we had another request for Amy. This is by Pure Burgundy back in the 1970s.
Yeah. Play with me, John.
Hey, what you want to do?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, continuing on our history lesson here, you probably remember back in, I'd say 1970s or 80s, there was a very popular show on TV called The Beverly Hillbillies. You all remember that? At that time, the two of the players from Bill Monroe's original Bluegrass Boys had left the band. Their name were Lester Flatt, Lester Flatt and Earl Scruggs had left the Bill Monroe band and had formed their own duet, and they were asked by some Hollywood writers to come up with a theme song for a show called The Beverly Hillbillies. And that song, believe it or not, was in the top 10 of the songs that you could hear on the radio. Can you imagine turning on the radio these days and hearing bluegrass at all? Anyway, to demonstrate this song, we have elected our favorite banjo player, Mr. Nicholas J. Deaton, to come up here and perform that, and he is going to sing this song for you. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Are you guys ready?
We've all seen him do this. He can actually tear a phone book in half. Powerful guy. Of course, he lives in Cooper. There's only 30 people. Like a phone pamphlet. We have a website, www.schlitzcreek.com. You can see some interesting photos of some of our fans around the world. We have t-shirts and hats and something with people that visit Afghanistan, Italy, and all over the world. We're going to be in Bronson Park upcoming on Sunday, July 29th for a concert. And we're going to be in Silvery Flats Music Festival on July 13th. That's out in Portage. You're welcome to come and see us there. And if not, maybe you can look at our website and catch up with us for other events. Kim, thanks for coming. Now we're going to do the only bluegrass song ever written about a mountain in Switzerland. Yes. The Matterhorn. It's called the Matterhorn. This mountain, so far I read in the Wikipedia that 1,500 people, partially true, 1,500 people have been killed trying to climb this rock. What do they think? It's a large rock, 12,000 feet high. I guess we have to feel sorry for them. Anyway, this is a story about 4 of them that tried it. Are you ready?
Tell another joke.
All right. There's this preacher. Preacher friend of ours decided to go on a retreat out in Rocky Mountains, Colorado. All he brought with him was a sleeping bag, some food, and his Bible. He was camped up on the mountainside one morning when he opened his eyes very slowly, and about 6 inches away from his face was the biggest, smelliest, ugliest, meanest looking grizzly bear you've ever seen. Huge grizzly bear. He closed his eyes really tightly again. He said, "Dear Lord, please make this a Christian bear." And he opened his eyes again very slow, and he saw the bear standing on its 2 legs with his paws raised up to the heavens. And the bear said very clearly, "Dear Lord, thank you for this meal."
Yippee-yi-yo, yippee-yi-yay. Thank you.